Welcome back. I thought I'd give you a little pep talk before you actually move into the next stage of the content for this week, to have a little talk about assertiveness. Now, I've been tutoring undergraduate communication courses for over 10 years, and I know from direct experience that this is something that a lot of students really struggle with. A lot of students don't really know what assertiveness actually means and aren't terribly aware of the continuum, I guess, between passive communication on one end and aggressive communication on the other. Or they understand that, but they don't understand what it's like to actually meet in the middle and find the balance of assertive communication. Now, I wanted to give you a bit of an introduction to this because this is something, I guess, that's very deeply personal to all of us, and it comes from many places. It often comes from our history, where we are now, the type of person that we see ourselves to be. So learning different skills can feel tricky, and it can feel like the words are a bit awkward and as though perhaps you're being someone that you're not familiar with. What I'd like to do, I guess, in this instance, if you do experience some of those, because again, in my history, I would say probably 90% of students do, I'd like you to remember that there are actually huge benefits from learning assertiveness. You might be someone who finds it nearly impossible to speak up for themselves, or you can only speak up for yourself with people that you know really well, and you can't speak up at work. So you find that you're always giving in to what other people want, and that feels really not very good. Or you might find that you don't say anything, and then all of a sudden you sort of explode because you can't keep it in any longer and you're feeling really upset by the situation. Or you might find that you're someone who's quite quick when you're challenged, that it sort of gets you back up, and so you get in there and tell them what you think. Don't give yourself a hard time if this is you. I guess what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to, and I'm borrowing on a technique of mindfulness for this, I'd like you just to observe your reactions. Don't judge it, just observe that that's how you normally react. It's not good or bad. But what we're here to do is to learn a different way of doing things, and hopefully with a really good understanding of what assertiveness is and what it looks like, how to do it, you too can start to develop these skills. And remember, it's not about changing it all in one fell swoop. If you're someone who's really struggled to communicate assertively, you're not next week going to be the most skilled assertive communicator that there is. It's about deciding to make a change and recognizing that very small steps of change actually over time make up to a big change. In learning the technique that we've set out for you, that you will read in the theory in terms of I feel and when a situation happens and the outcome, recognize that that can feel a little awkward to start with. You do need to practice it with those specific steps, and over time, as long as you adhere to the principles, you can come to adapt it to your words. So I can't really stress that enough, because this technique that we're teaching you is the guide for moving forward. Now, I'm really looking forward to discussing this more with you in the workshop next week when we'll cover it. But please do, I urge you all to recognize progress, stick to the method that we have laid out for you in the content for this week, and most importantly, don't give yourself a hard time if you don't get it right straight away, or it still feels really hard. But do make an effort to working towards developing this really important communication skill. Okay, look forward to chatting with you next week.